Qingque is one of those characters that everyone gets for free, and she's a little bit weird, but to be honest, she is quite honestly one of the most enjoyable characters I currently own. I think what makes her so much fun is that she is just a little bit more complex than the average character to play, and she takes like a little bit more nuance to understand how to play. And yeah, she's not incredibly complex, but she's a little bit weirder than some of the other characters, and I thought I'd just sort of give a little helping hand to anyone that wants to actually try building and playing her. While I'm not doing any builds as such, I am just mainly demonstrating how to use her mechanics to the best of their abilities, but let's make a start. The great thing about Qingque is that she is someone that you just get for free for playing the game, and she just shows up, and she most likely will be your first quantum character, I think she is, yeah, which is awesome because, you know, it's good to have all the elements. Now, mine is only level 40, I need to get her to 50 at some point. Probably going to use my resin today to get her extra stuff. I will start off by saying that her weapon may not necessarily be the best option. Like, it's not terrible, the increase in damage and attack is nice, but again, I'm only Trailblazer rank 31, I think, so there's not really much I can do in terms of grinding and preparing characters at the minute, because it's just not a good use of resources. Her traces are all more or less up to snuff. I'm going to be reading out her skills as if she's still rank 1, so pretend that I've done literally nothing on this. This is a bonus ability I've already unlocked. It is very useful. Her bonus abilities all seem really good at just making her better at what she does, but for the sake of the video, we're just going to pretend she's at rank 1. Her relics, literally they're just auto-added. Pretend these don't exist. And she is Eidolon 0. There are no duplications on her. With Qingque, the most interesting part about her is her passive. And her passive basically involves her entire kit. So you need to understand her passive at least enough to get to grips with it. So what actually is her passive? Essentially, when an ally's turn starts, a random tile from 3 different suits is drawn. If she starts her turn with a full suit of 4, she'll enter the hidden hand state, which basically means she receives her enhanced basic attack, as well as buffed damage. Now, there are a number of different ways you can get suits, but the main goal of her passive is you need to get 4 tiles of the same suit. Thankfully, there's only 3 different suits you can sort of pull from, so it's fairly easy to get to grips with, but it can be a little bit awkward sometimes getting all 4 to make sure that you get the most out of her kit. But her entire mechanics revolve around this passive at all times. Moving on to the basic attack, she essentially just throws a J tile from her deck. So whichever J tile she has the least amount, she will lob and will be gone and will clear a space for you. Now, if she does have all 4, this is when things get interesting. Then you enter the hidden hand state, and then Cherry on Top can be used. So Cherry on Top is essentially just an enhanced basic attack. It'll increase her attack by 36% if you're at level 1. It'll deal 120% damage to a single enemy, and then 50% attack damage to the adjacent enemies. Once this is done, the suit of 4 will then be cleared and she will have nothing more left in the deck. This is her main damage dealer, and it's the main reason you're basically doing everything her kit allows is to achieve this state. You want this pretty much as you can possibly get it, as best as possible. It's not hard to achieve this state, it's relatively simple to get to grips with. Once you've played her for like an hour, it's fairly simple to know what you're doing. But when you first get it, it is a little bit confusing on the whole set suit idea they've got going on, but it's really fun. She may not be the strongest character in the game by any means, like she does require a lot of setup, but she just is really fun to play actively. Not so much with AI, but I'll talk about that in a bit. So yeah, essentially you want Cherry on Top active as much as physically possible. Her skill, very important to her kit, unsurprisingly. We're going to ignore the bonus effect because at level 1 this does not exist. She will draw 2 J tiles by using 1 skill point. By doing this, you will increase your damage by 14% until the end of turn. This can be stacked up to 14 times, which is really, really nice. But every time you do stack, it does cost another skill point. When you use the enhance, you will throw away whichever 2 suits you have the least amount in, and then you will randomly draw some more. If, for instance, you've got a set of 3, but you're still missing that 1, and you pull for an enhance, and you don't get it, you will have to pull again, but you'll still have the set of 3. Once you manage to get all 4, you will enter the hidden hand state, a little animation will play, and then from there, you have your basic attack Cherry on Top, and you cannot do your skill anymore Once you have a set of 4, that is it. The only thing you have left to do is your ult or your basic attack. Speaking of ultimates, when you use her ult, she will draw 4 Jade tiles and she will do 120% of her attack to all enemies on the field. So what's nice about her ult is that you get a guaranteed AoE attack out, and then you have 4 Jade tiles, and then when you come back to her, you already have the hidden hand state already sorted, so you can just go straight into it. So the ultimate, very useful for setting up if you have almost no skill points whatsoever. Then last but not least, we have her technique, and her technique's very simple. She'll use it and then she will draw 2 Jade tiles when the battle starts. It's very simple. But as you can see, her kit is all very much linked to one another. There's a lot of nuance and sort of complexity when you first get to use it. It takes a little while to get used to, but honestly, it's not too bad. What I will say though, is she's not a great character for AI, because AI, when you auto battle, has the tendency to, I'm sure as you know by now, they will just do as much as damage as they possibly can. And what that usually means is at no point will they ever really save basic attacks. They'll kind of just use your skills as long as they have them, which for most battles is fine. But for Qingque, it's not very good because you need multiple skill points most of the time. If you're just having your allies basic attack, then it's not such a big deal, because whenever they attack, she'll get a new J tile, and eventually you will get cherry on top. But for the most part, when you're actually playing the game, you're going to be using enhance a lot, and the AI just does not do it very well. I mean, you can make it work, but for the most part, if there's a hard battle that you're just struggling with and you're trying to sort of auto attack your way through it using AI, you might be attempting that battle a couple of times. But to be fair, Qingque is a very sort of RNG based character in the first place, because there's nothing that says you're going to get all 4 J tiles within like 3 or 4 enhances. Sometimes you will spend like 4 enhances to get it, and that's a lot of skill points, and it's very expensive if you have other team members that need those skill points. But as a whole though, Qingque is just such a unique and enjoyable character. She's honestly so far my favorite character in the game, even if she isn't the strongest. She's just a lot of fun to play, because it requires me to use my brain just a small, tiny amount, just enough for me to be happy to use, without being overly complex and requiring too much actual brain power. But that's enough talking. Let's actually demonstrate her kit, you know, in a real world application. I will say now the team is pretty much just built to keep her alive and to not accidentally die. I was just going to have her on her own, but she kind of just dies. Shocking, I know. So with Qingque, we've just used, I can't remember your name, I'm so sorry. We just used an ability on you. She draws a J tile, and we can throw one away, and then we get one back. Whenever someone attacks, you get one back. There we go. And now we have 2 of 2, which to be honest isn't actually ideal. So now that we have 3, so since she attacked, 1 has been replaced. So now we only have 1 to pull for. Now we could basic attack, but then we'd have to wait for her turn to come back. So I'm just going to enhance. There we go, we got it. So that was fairly quick and painless. So now that we have the full set, we have the cherry on top attack, which is just, you know, solid amount of damage. Nothing too sorry to sniff at. Great for, obviously against someone that actually has a quantum weakness, ideally. Before you start a battle, you need to keep in mind that your J tiles are reset. You don't keep them from the previous match, from the previous battle. So just always assume that you just enter battle with, I think it's either 1 or none. I can't quite recall off the top of my head. But enhance always does the job. Although I'm not sure what happens if you double enhance. Let's see what happens, because I've never double enhanced before. Before battle anyway. Looks like it does not matter. I think it might just replace the ones that you grabbed. But anyway, not a big deal. Let's try a roll. So there we go. Now that she's ulted, she's got a full suit to play with. We'll buff her. Cherry on top activates, and then we have a lovely big AoE to enjoy. So yeah, that's Qingque. or however you say her name. I'm so very sorry if I say it wrong. But I hope you can see why I enjoy her character so much. She's really fun. There's a lot of extra nuance from her character that some of the other characters just don't have. And she's really unique. She's a bit more in depth than some others. And she's just a lot of fun to play. She may not be to everyone's taste, and I get that, that's understandable. She isn't the strongest unit in the game, which sucks for her. But you know what? Sometimes it isn't a case of having the strongest meta team, because in Star Rail you can switch out your team for whatever reason you need it. It's not like you're replacing one team for another. But if I want to actively play Star Rail and I don't want to just auto battle my way through everything, I will actively put Qingque into the team just because it's fun to play around with her suit passive essentially. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and I hope that this little video may have helped someone look at her and go, oh, she is actually really fun. Unfortunately, I don't have an ideal build for her as of yet, just because I'm way too early on that there's just not really much point in doing a build, because I'm not going to have access to decent relics, so what is even the point at the minute? But yeah, that's Qingque in a nutshell, basically. I hope someone got something out of it. But anyway, thank you for those that stuck around to the end. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And until next time, I've been James, the Mayor of Jamestown. Goodbye.